All of this comes amid an economic recession in Brazil. Unemployment and inflation continue to rise with no end in sight. Here to talk about the impact, not just on politics, but also on the economy and much more, is Paulo Sotero. He's director of the Brazil Institute at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars and an expert on Brazilian politics. Welcome.
Thank you.
Paulo, the impeachment trial, is there anything Dilma Rousseff can say when she takes that stand that could potentially change the outcome here?
Very unlikely, Asieh. As the Paulo's piece introducing the subject suggests, it's a done deal. She is most likely going to be removed. One point, though, it's important. The impeachment is not about the personal honesty of President Dilma Rousseff or of any of the senators sitting in judgment. It is about mismanagement, misgovernment, unauthorized public sector expenditures, violation of fiscal law, fiscal responsibilities law. Brazil is in the deepest economic crisis of its history. People attribute it mostly to President Dilma Rousseff, but the problem is systemic. It's much larger.
And in fact, one of her supporters had this to say. He called this fiscal creative accounting that she's accused of is something that happens at the federal level, the state level, at all spheres of government. It's not unique to Dilma Rousseff. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree totally, but I agree with the fact that this is a political trial. Had President Dilma Rousseff governed in a different way, had she reached out to Congress to seek for compromises, but she was a very, very incompetent leader, politically incompetent. And she did not create the networks necessary that probably could have helped her govern in a more efficient way. Now she is isolated. She is isolated even within her own political party that has taken distance from her. There is a municipal election in October in Brazil in 5,600 cities. The Workers' Party of Dilma Rousseff and Lula are in for a very, very rough experience, and the PT wants this over as soon as possible, but obviously they are going to say what is necessary for a dignified end to her administration.
And if she is in fact ousted from office, which you're suggesting it's going to happen, her political future is basically over, isn't it?
Yeah, because she'll have lost her political rights for 10 years. Dilma is not a person that was fit for politics. She does not have the temperament for that. She's not charismatic. She will fade away. Brazil is left with a major crisis, a president that is an experienced politician, very unpopular now, that has to do one thing. He has to revive the economy. President Temer will be judged.
Can he do that, Paulo? Does he have the trust of the people?
No, but he has the trust of the business community. He has to move on policies that will bring confidence, and mostly initially confidence from investors, from Brazilian investors, from foreign investors. He takes function probably on September 1st, goes to China for the G20 meeting. Very important to convey to the Chinese that Brazil is going to do what's necessary to fix the fiscal account, because Brazil will need investment. Brazil will privatize a lot of things now. We need to reduce the debt in the public sector. The Chinese will probably look at the opportunities in Brazil. Assets in Brazil are very low price right now. Americans, very, very important here. The president is coming to the UN in September the 20th. So, but he will be judged on his capacity to make the economy run again.
Paulo, so we've talked about the business community, economy, investment. Talk to me about the impact of this crisis on ordinary Brazilians.
Well, devastating, I said. 12 million people lost their jobs. And after an experience that was mostly positive, start with President Cardoso, then with President Lula, Brazil was on the upswing because the economic policies were good, were of good quality, but I think we made a big mistake, and all governments made that. Current expenditures in the public sector continue to go up. They were not sustainable, and we need to fix that. The state in Brazil has grown to a size that does not fit the budget anymore. Society in Brazil is unwilling to pay the price necessary for have that size of state. So we have to shrink it, to reduce it, and that's the negotiation that's going to take place now. And in the months and years ahead, I think it's important. It's a negotiation that we have to have in Brazil to build a sustainable future for 200 million plus people.
We'll see what happens. A complicated situation. Paulo Sotero, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.